Hello and welcome to the little apartment on the prairie. In my last video on Saturday, I said I thought I had the flu, and it turned out I was wrong. This is Wednesday, and I'm finally starting to feel human again. It turned out that, I ended up in the emergency room on Saturday night after I posted that video because I was just so sick and I was short of breath and my heart rate was really high and I had a fever and my oxygen level was a little bit low and I was just really miserable. It's been a long time since I felt that sick. And they did all kinds of tests. They did such a great job. I live in a little town and we have a really small hospital here, and they did a super job. I'm kind of dreading the bill, but they did a super job. And they thought that I had some sort of an infection, but they couldn't find an infection. Like, they did a chest x-ray and that was clear. They did a urinalysis and there was no urinary tract infection. So what they did was they sent me home on antibiotics and they drew blood cultures to see if there was infection in my bloodstream. Well, they called me back on Tuesday because the blood cultures did grow out bacteria, that there was some kind of infection in my bloodstream. It's an illness called bacteremia, which just means you've got an infection in your bloodstream. It doesn't tell you what the infection is. It could be all different kinds of things. They don't know what is in my blood yet. It's still growing, so they can determine what it is. But they put me on antibiotics on Saturday when I was there, which is really good because by the time they got the results of the blood cultures, I was already starting to feel a little better. Not great, but a little bit better. But I've just been really sick. And I realized that, I kind of had plans for dealing with Isaac if I got sick, if something happened like that, but my plans had not really been updated, and it's important that you keep whatever plans you have. If circumstances change, your plans need to change. And so my main plan for who would take care of Isaac if I got sick was a neighbor, but he had just had shoulder surgery and he wasn't able to do it. My backup plan to that in the past would have been to have Isaac boarded somewhere that's what I did like a year and a half ago when I had elbow surgery. But your dogs have to be up to date on their vaccines in order for any place to take them for boarding. And once Isaac got sick, I decided not to update certain vaccines like his kennel cough because that's something they get from other dogs, and he wasn't around other dogs anymore. We hadn't been going to the dog park or anything because of COVID, and then because he was too sick to really run around a lot and play with other dogs a lot. He wanted to go for walks, but he preferred, like just going for a slow walk and sniffing all the things rather than running and chasing and wrestling with other dogs. So I didn't update his kennel cough vaccine because he wasn't going to be exposed to kennel cough. It wasn't something that I needed to worry about until I got really, really sick and thought maybe I needed to board him, except like on the weekend when I was so ill, I couldn't take him anywhere for boarding because he wasn't up to date on his vaccines. And what ended up happening was on Monday, I talked to his vet and they agreed to board him for me, and they would do his vaccines while he was there. The reason I didn't update his vaccines wasn't only because I didn't think he was, needed them, but because there are a lot of, not all vets agree with this, but many vets agree that you should avoid vaccines if you can when their immune system is already compromised by lymphoma. So it was not only that the vaccine wasn't necessary, but it might be harmful to him. Not that it was likely to hurt him, but it would put extra stress on his immune system that he didn't need. So I was making what I felt was the best decision for Isaac's health without taking into consideration what if he needs to be boarded. And I need to rethink that because, well, now he's up to date on his vaccines because I boarded him at the vet. But just as like a general policy, I need to rethink that because if there is an emergency, and my cats right now are past due on their rabies, they're both like only a few months past due. And I'm going to get them their rabies. They're required to have it by law. But I feel like it's not urgent. Look at those cat hair whiskers. It just doesn't feel urgent to me because they're not going to be exposed to rabies. They don't go outside. You know, I'll get it for them. Where I live, you have to get your cats licensed by the city, just like you have to have a license for your dogs. I've never heard of such a thing before till I moved here. But anyway, their license, you have to get them the license you have to get every January. And so they have to be current on their rabies to get their license. So I was like, sometime between now and next January, I'll get them each to the vet, probably one at a time, so I space out that cost. And then they'll have their rabies and, you know, it'll be good. But, you know, what if there's some kind of a disaster and I need to be able to board them somewhere? I wouldn't be able to because they're not current on their rabies. So that just gives me some more things to kind of think about, is that certain emergency plans are affected. Yes, Whiskers, you want petted. You know, one thing affects other things. And so all of those things have to be taken into consideration. So Isaac is currently at the vet's right now, where I'm sure he's getting lots of attention. He's coming home tomorrow because that way I've had time to rest. I was so sick and so like short of breath that going up and down the stairs to take him out to go potty was hard. And he was mad because, well, not mad, more like disappointed because he wasn't getting walks. And, you know, I could barely walk from one end of my apartment to the other. I was like, Isaac, I cannot take you for a walk. I'm too tired. So it's just been a rough few days. I'm interested in hearing more about what your kind of emergency plans are for your pets. And do you have the things that you would need together in order for those plans to be done? Like if your plan would be to board your pets in certain emergency situations, do you have their vaccines up to date? And do you know where those records are? Because if you can't put your hands on their vaccine records, it may not matter. If you know that they're up to date on their vaccines, you know what I mean? The place where you want to board them needs to know they're up to date on those vaccines. So just let me know kind of what your plans are for your pets, and if you think through some things, if anything new comes to mind. I hope you all are feeling much better than I am. I'll ask you to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, all that good stuff. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you soon.